Okay, we are live with Liz Cohen on Marketing Realness. Very excited for today's live learning. I think it's going to be a really good one. Got lots of great questions, lots of great stuff up ahead. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Jordana Mark from Make Your Mark. I'm a social media expert. I posted on my personal page. I don't know if a lot of you saw it, but I met Liz actually for the first time when she came to my Instagram stories class. It was, I think, my first Instagram stories class that I ever gave.
Well, it was a good one.
I remember I got there a half an hour early and I was freaking out the whole time that something was going to not work or I was going to forget something. And then Liz, hired me through More Connected to come do Instagram stories. And I had so much fun at the Our Crowd Summit doing Instagram stories all day. And now here we are. And Liz, go ahead. You can introduce yourself now.
Sure. First of all, I just want to say that I felt like a total grandma at that Instagram workshop, but you really did bring me up to speed, and it was excellent because I knew nothing about stories before that. So thank you. So hi guys, I'm Liz. I most recently might have a recognizable name because I was working at Our Crowd for 6 years until this past summer. I was the head of marketing working on our content strategy and brand and the global summit and a bunch of other stuff regarding our investor community. And I actually left this summer and now just joined a new VC, Hetz Ventures, based in Tel Aviv. I'm director of content there, and I'm working on our brand and content strategy as well as our portfolios. So I'm very excited about literally a new venture. That's where I am today.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
So cool. Okay, let's dive right in. How did you become interested in the field of marketing?
So for me, it actually started way back when in high school and college. I was a bit of an activist. I was really into activism, and I was lobbying back in the old days. And there was all kinds of stuff I was doing around that. And then after that, I was starting out in a career in journalism. And I think that the combination of activism and journalism pinpointed something about where I was headed, which was about messaging, communicating, basically taking an idea and spreading it or sharing it or telling a story. And when I got to Israel about 16 years ago, those two sort of career paths had ended for me, but I landed in a marketing job because I was hired as a writer and a former journalist. And that was kind of the Wild West of internet marketing and even very early social media. And so I kind of just fell into that. It was really fun. And the idea of sort of growing with this career took me. So, yeah.
So cool. I just want to jump in really quick before I go to the next question and say if anyone has any questions at all, whether you're watching live or in the replay, feel free to just stick them in the comments and either Liz or I will answer them. What are your top 3 tips for people who are new to marketing or just launching a business?
Yeah, sure. So I would say that anyone who's starting out, especially if you're really building a new brand or you're starting a new business, you kind of have to get organized and you have to allow yourself to spend a little bit of time sitting down and putting together what I call a brand Bible or, basically your core messaging. And what I do is I literally open a document. I put down what my boilerplate would be, what my tagline is, my mission, just all these sort of basic elements of what our brand is, what our story is going to be, what we're trying to accomplish, who we're talking to, who the audience is. And I get it all down on paper. And that can serve as a core document for, I like to also do this exercise. If I had to hire someone new or outsource a project, what do I want them to know about my brand? And when you have a focused document like that, it's very easy to share that. So that's an exercise that I think is really worth doing. You don't have to be a super marketing expert to do it. You can just kind of get your ideas on paper and it really helps. The second thing I would say is think about who your audience is. I think it's critical that you actually imagine who you're talking to, because it's hard to communicate effectively if you can't actually visualize who you're talking to. So just kind of create the personas of the people that you want to get your message. And then what I like to do is I actually practice. I use some creative writing prompts, or I'll take my brand or whatever it is, and I'll turn it into a video script. I'll just like play around, just get my hands kind of dirty in this, just to kind of taste different story options or whatever, and try them out on people. So those are just some like hands-on things I think people should try doing.
I love that. I always tell people that, like, just print out a picture of like who you're talking to, name them, like, give them an age, a name, a hair color, like it doesn't matter. Just talk to a human.
Yeah, totally.
We have a question from Hillel, wants to know, is there a brand Bible template?
I've never Googled it. I've just kind of done this based on experience, but I'm sure there's something out there. I'm sure some smart marketing agency has like come up with that and put that out online. But mine usually looks something like, mission, tagline, boilerplate, audience, logo, design colors, things like the basic things, just to have them all in one place. So I'm sure if you could find other people's, but I just go through all the like core elements that I would want, to have down.
Yeah. Okay. Next question. Should new business owners invest in marketing or try to learn it themselves? I think this is like something that like a lot of business owners struggle with.
Yeah. So I would say this. I would take a look inward and say two things. Do you happen to be a natural communicator? Are you expressive? Do you have a way with words? Are you clear when you speak or write or whatever? And it's okay. Whatever your answer is, it's okay. And then the second thing I would ask is, do you have time? Because this is this is heavy work. Like, to do this right, it takes a lot of time and resources. And if your answer is, I don't really have time, or I'm not the best communicator, or I'm not totally sure how to get my message across, then I would say, get yourself a partner, whether that's an agency, a freelancer, a hire, whatever, but just kind of get someone with you on your team, because it takes a lot to do it right. And if you do it wrong, it can actually do damage.
Totally. What is important to focus on when you are trying to create messaging for your company?
I would go back to what I said before about audience, and we were talking about humans. Really, really make sure that even before you know what the message is, you have to know who you're talking to. So you might have 3 different audiences. Maybe one of your audiences is the people who would buy your product. Maybe one of your audiences is people who would partner with you for some reason, to resell or for some purpose. One of your audiences might be sort of the type of fans who would do word of mouth and sharing for you. Like, you have to kind of figure out who you're actually talking to at any given moment when you're putting together material. And really, so here's a trick that I do that I tell people. I will write, if I'm putting together a piece of content, I will take someone in my real life who I know fits that persona, and I will pretend I'm writing to them, and I will read it out loud as if I'm talking to them, and I will read it again, and I will imagine, would they be asking me what I meant by that or whatever? And just take real people in your life who would actually serve as customers or whatever you're pitching to, and try to imagine them while you're doing it. And I promise you that even if you're not 100% sure of your message when you started writing it, by the time you finish and you do this exercise, it gets clearer. So I think the first thing is definitely focus on who you're talking to. And then, there's lots of ways to kind of sharpen the messaging and make it better. And you can read it to people in actuality and get feedback, but think about who you're talking to.
Totally. How do you know if your content is resonating with your target audience?
Yes, I think deep down we all know the truth about this one, even if it's hard and it takes a lot of work. The fact is that if you're resonating with your audience, they will be responsive, and that's more than some likes or whatever. It's a 5-star review in the App Store with a comment. It's sharing your content with context. It's actually forwarding on interesting things to friends because they think they'll benefit. It's writing you with feedback when you ask them for it or you don't. I mean, you really want that engagement for real that's actually going to help boost your, potential, your trajectory, because a like here or there, or trying to reach a certain target of likes of your page on Facebook, it's not enough, and it doesn't really mean anything. And it's very frustrating when you think you have all these likes and it's not doing anything. You actually have to be building a relationship and having a conversation. And that's, again, it takes work, which is why if you don't think that you have the time for that, it is important to bring someone on, because it really is building relationships with people. And that's the truth.
And your supporters are not necessarily your target audience. And I think that's the difference between the likes and the thumbs up that you get in the comment every now and then, and the people who are actually answering and talking and sharing,
Yeah, totally.
Okay. How can someone start crafting mindful content for their business?
Yeah, I think this is also something where it sounds a little, I don't know, maybe it sounds a little airy, but today, especially in the last few years, it's really not. I think being authentic and being who you really are is key. And I mean that you as in the person creating the content, you, the person who created the company or the brand, you, the company itself should be who it is in its DNA. And I think that being authentic is something that is, as people, we can sniff out. We know when people are being real or when they're not. It's a sixth sense I think we're all capable of. And you want to feed that, because I think that there really is an appreciation today of companies and brands and CEOs and entrepreneurs who are actually being real with you. And that means that when they have insight and knowledge to share, they're doing it, and you enjoy it because it's real. It's actually what they know about. And when they don't, or they make a mistake, or something, there's a conversation around it, or they put out a feature that was terrible, and you can actually give feedback and make a difference. Like, that authenticity is critical. And so it doesn't matter if you're selling flowers from your boutique flower shop, or you're creating a mobile app or whatever. The fact is that people feel this, especially because if we're going to put ourselves on social media as brands, we're opening ourselves up to having people really think of us a little bit, a brand as a person, or having a persona. And so we want to feed that with as much authenticity as possible. So I would say just be honest and be real and put out content you know about, and that's valuable.
Yeah, we spoke about last week, Sarah Anand was on, and we spoke about personal branding, and she was talking a lot about like bringing out like, a personal, personal personality, through a brand, through a business, through a company, and figuring out not just like who your target audience is as a person, but who your business is as a person, right? Like your target audience, you could say, is like Sarah, the blonde girl who's, 35 and married with 5 kids, but who's your business? Like, who's Make Your Mark, right? Like, who is that? Who's that? If Make Your Mark was a person, what does she or he look like, and what do they stand for, and how would they sound? And it's also like, it's all, you don't want to like every post you put up or every email you send out to be like as if it's like from a totally different, like, So
100%. No, companies have voices, and we see that when we know that there are companies we really like and we can't even explain why. Maybe we're not even like customers, but we just like the way they sound on their Twitter feed or something, or they put out good videos and you just know you like them. And there's companies you don't like because the stuff they're putting out is attractive to a different type of persona, which is not you, but we know that and we feel that. And so you want to make sure that when you're putting that out, you're putting out the right vibe.
Totally. When you're actually reading the person's emails, or like you said, watching the person's videos, that's when you know.
It's true.
Okay. Last but not least, what do you love about the field of marketing and your job specifically, even though I know that it's new, but still?
So, yeah, I mean, it's new, but it speaks to a pattern I think that I've had in my entire career so far, which is that I really like diversity in my work. I like going from thing to thing. And I think that a lot of us in marketing are kind of like that, or at least a lot of us in this type of marketing and content marketing. The things that really hooked me in the beginning when I first got involved in this world were the fact that you can experiment and like hack things and figure things out. And my favorite thing, even though in the moment it sucks, but like Big Adol, I actually really like it. When there's an urgent deadline or there's a big, huge project like the summit, let's say, or whatever it is, and I have to figure things out really fast, and I have to just start scratching away and finding the like new things I never thought about, or new channels or something like that. And then you hit on something and it clicks, and you know, you feel like you unlocked a new level. That's marketing today. Like that's
such a good example.
Yeah,
you unlock a new level in a game where you're like, yes, I'm in a whole new world now.
Yeah. There was a whole phase in it's more than a phase now, it's just true, but there was a whole phase where all we talked about was gamification, right? In like products and experiences online and everything. And like the truth is, marketing is a little bit of gamification in itself today. You get to like try new things constantly. Like with the Instagram stories, I felt like a grandma because I started in 2005 when like before Facebook was unlocked for the public. So there's always something new to learn, and it's actually very exciting. So for me, constantly having to stay on top of things, figuring out what's just a trend and what's actually here to stay, the diversity and discovery of this world is what I actually really love about it. Which is why I think that even if you are a business owner, or you're starting something, or you have a personal brand, and you feel like I'm not a marketer, I don't know what I'm talking about, but it doesn't mean that you can't do this. It's something very human and fun and interesting that you could actually find your like path and your vibe and actually be good at it. You just have to kind of like figure it out.
Yeah, I always say that. There's always like a piece of marketing that will work for everyone. Like I follow someone on Instagram. She's got like, I don't know, 80,000 followers or something. You know, she's like huge. And she said, she was like, I'm not on YouTube. I don't do Facebook. I don't do LinkedIn. She's like, it's just not my thing. I do Instagram and I do emails. That's it, you know?
Yeah.
And it works for her. And she's got, you know, she's got courses and I don't know what, she's got challenges and all kinds of stuff that she's constantly putting up. She's so real. She's so her, you know, everything's so branded. And I love watching it because of that, you know?
Totally. Yeah. You got to like find your thing. And some people, by the way, it might not even be a specific social media channel. I find that there are people that are just really good at like running communities. And that could be a Facebook group. It could be a community on, you know, it could just be different environments, but you're just good at nurturing communities, and that becomes your thing. And that's a totally different form of, you know, brand promotion or nurturing or relationship building. And so find your thing. It doesn't have to be just posting on social.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. So true. Okay. Well, that was our last question. So thank you so much for joining. Anyone who's watching, this is your last chance to ask Liz any questions. Live, at least.
Yeah.
So that's it. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you for coming on.
Fun.
This was so fun. I think it was really valuable. Oh, wait, we have a comment. Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, this was very valuable. Thank you so much. I'm definitely, we're going to be posting it on the page. So anyone who wants to watch the replay later, that's it. Thank you.
Great. All right. See you guys.
Have a good night, everybody.